You've gotten this far in your leadership life. Now it's time to level up. You can learn the tools to reimagine, reinvent, and to even love your leadership life. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hello. Good to be here with you. You know, last week's episode was about creating as a leader, and I talked about how I have been creating this podcast for over 6 months now. That's so exciting. And how we are already at the half-year mark. And that got me to thinking about what we do at the half year, usually some sort of mid-year review. I just did mine as well. And I thought about sharing with you something that I have been doing differently since I have studied and learned all about how our thoughts and emotions work that I didn't do in the past. In the past, I would just follow the more traditional route of keeping up with goals. These days, I like to add some questions that I either journal about or at a minimum that I keep in mind to help me to go beyond just looking at the results and where I am with the goals. The reason I do that is to help me to, number one, of course, help me to see if I'm on track, but also to see if the decisions I'm making are working, to see if the actions I'm taking are the ones that are going to help me to reach those goals. That's still similar to what I used to do. The part that's different is that now I like to engage my future self. By journaling or asking myself questions that connect me to my future self, I'm able to build a better relationship with my goals and to also build my trust with myself that I'm going to be able to reach those goals. When I ask myself questions, when I take a view from my future self, then I'm more able to clarify the goals and even the values behind the goals. I'm able to overcome those challenges better. I'm able to focus better, and I feel much more aligned to those goals and to my own wellness as I pursue those goals. It is a means to connect with the goals more strongly and also with myself, with my own trust for myself. And basically, the idea is to not think of your goals only, but to think of who you will be when you achieve those goals. How might you act and think and feel as the person who has achieved those goals? It's like getting a look at you at your next level of growth, that next level of you that has evolved as a result of you being able to achieve those goals. So when you tap into your future self, you're also tapping into some of that wisdom and that guidance that you have picked up along the way. The way I get myself engaged and locked into my future self is that I remind myself that everything I'm doing today is for my future self, and that everything I have going on today, the goals that I have achieved up until today, are thanks to the decisions and actions that my past self took to get me here. It's like my past self had my back and I was able to get to where I am today. And so this is the part that helps me to see how what I'm doing today is in support of my future self. And when I think about it that way, I can also appreciate that I'm helping myself to not get caught flat-footed or to get into a reactionary mode down the line, or to lead and live from survival, and most especially so that I won't lose sight of my desires, because sometimes we lose sight of our dreams, of our passions, of our desires We stay practical, which is fine, of course. Practical helps you to plan for your future in the sense of preparing for retirement. It's a good thing to have a nest egg and all of that, no doubt. I look out for that too. But what I'm talking about here is what might get lost in our pursuit of practical goals, both in our work life and in our personal life. In leadership, are your goals and vision and values what you want them to be? Are they inspiring to you and to your team? In your life, are your personal goals in touch with you? Are they in touch with your soul? Are they in touch with your desires, your passions? I get in touch with my future self to help me to be more intentional so that I am more excited about each day. I am excited about taking on the challenges. My mindset is like, what's next? What are we going to do today? What might we have to get past? It just opens up my own curiosity, my own sense of adventure, my own sense of being able to figure things out. I can remind myself that I will be that future self someday, and that I will be grateful for the decisions that I am making today and the actions that I'm taking today. That I will be grateful for the investment that I'm making in myself today. Checking in with your future self is like consciously noticing who you are becoming. It's like consciously noticing that next evolution of you and how you are going to be thinking and feeling and acting then, and what you can adopt from that future self today to help you to get there. Think of it this way. If you could speak to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give her? What might you be thankful for that she did when she was 18, right? I'm thankful that my 18-year-old self stuck it out in college that first year, that she learned how to study and show up for herself, because it was a challenging year. I might say to her, hey, don't skip that class because your professor is going to change the date of the test, things like that. But especially when I think about my 18-year-old self, I'm very grateful that I trusted myself to learn the college culture and to learn how to study and to learn how to handle it all. And I'm so grateful that my 18-year-old self fell in love with learning and fell in love with taking on big challenges. So what might you thank your 18-year-old self for? What advice would you give her? Now, flip it to your future self. What advice might your future self give you today? I think mine would say something like, trust yourself. You always figure it out. Something like that. What would your future self say to you? What goals does your future self want you to go after? All right, so if you are like me and you are doing your mid-year review, in addition to looking at your results, check in with your future self to see if your daily life is supporting what you want and that you are not just in the daily grind. See how checking in with your future self can make the daily grind more soulful and inspirational and exciting. Even in these uncertain times, which, by the way, they have always been uncertain. None of us can predict the future, but I understand it is feeling even more uncertain these days. Even now, with that uncertainty, where does your future self want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Where does your future self want to be in a week? In a day? Doesn't have to be 5 or 10 years. Decide on the time period. Are you on that path? What can you change to put yourself on that path if you are not on it right now? Who do you want to be today so that your future self will be thankful when you get to her? All right? So, food for thought. We have the second half of the year left. Let's go. You've got this. Have a beautiful week. We'll see you next time. If you're ready to dive into this work, check out my Living Your Leadership Life membership. It's where you will find the coaching, tools, and community to help you leave survival in the dust and create the leadership life you desire. Go to drjuliabarrow.com and the Work With Me page for more information. And if you know someone else who can benefit from listening to this podcast, send them our link. Our world can use some healing, and it starts with our leaders. Join us.